Hey, this lesson we're going to be looking at the basic structure of a web page, and the challenge for this lesson is to set up the basic structure of your page. So typically that will include a header, navigation bar, a main content area. If you do have a sidebar, then add in the sidebar and a footer. So this is what a typical website looks like. So we've got the header. So this is just the introductory area for its big area where you can place your logo, tagline, and whatever information you want about your web project. There's also the navigation bar. So let me make this a little bit bigger so that we can see it better. And then most websites, of course, they're going to have some way to navigate. And typically nowadays, the navigation or the main navigation is across the top. Sometimes you might also see it down on the left-hand side or on the right-hand side. So in that case, if you are using the navigation bar, you can use the sidebar as your navigation, and you can skip where having the navigation bar at the top. But typically most websites do have a navigation bar at the top, and that's because we're designing them to be more mobile friendly. So when the page resizes, then we can stack the navigation bar as needed. So this is the main navigation area. And then next we've got a main content area. So in some cases, this will include multiple columns. Some cases, it's a main content where you've got all of the, it's basically the big area of the page where you're going to place most of the content and the story. And this is what the content that's going to change. So if you have any headlines or anything like that, and it's going to change from page to page. You also have a sidebar. So this can be links, quotes, new information, sign-up information, and just important stuff that you want to highlight to users coming into your web page. And then lastly, we've got the footer area. So this is usually a strip across the bottom. So it's opposite of the header. And this is where you can include contact information, location, also additional links. So the fine print, copyright information, and so on. So this is where you're going to typically find that. And this is also used for SEO purposes a lot, where you can have some quick information about the content. So in order to structure your web page, typically we do plan that out ahead of time. And with HTML5, we did get some new tags in order to have more dedicated tags to represent the different sections. So you can also still use divs, or you can use the name tags. So this helps you differentiate and distinguish the content and the concepts for the content. So there's the header area, the navigation bar, the main content. So that's under a tag called main. And then sometimes you might see article or section, and also people use div elements. So there's a number of ways that this can typically be created. So let's go back into our document, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to create a typical navigation bar, a header, and main content area, sidebar, and footer. And then with styling, that's how we're going to create the structure, or how we're going to create the visual of the web page. So go ahead, pause the video, and I'll walk you through how you can add this into the web page. And we're going to continue with the content that we developed last time. So typically within the body, so we're going to nest all of the tags in, and we're going to have our main header area. And this is going to be where our header content will go. So right now I've just got the H1, welcome to the page. So this could very well, again, be a logo or some other way to inform the user of the main content or the main purpose of the website. So next we've got our navigation bar. And then within the navigation bar, sometimes you will see it listed out as unordered lists, and then all the links are list items. So this is how you prefer to do it. So there's a number of ways to do this. You can also do this with divs, because this is all going to be created with CSS. So that's how we're going to present the content. So in this case, we're not going to be covering any of the CSS. So I'm going to keep it very simple, and I'm not going to go with an unordered list. I'm just going to go with a couple divs, and they're going to be stacked one on top. And we know with divs, they take the full block of content across the page. So let's go ahead and create our hyperlinks. So this is going to be where the hyperlinks are going to be contained. And within the hyperlinks, typically they're just links within the same page. So I'm just going to link out to the index page as my home page. And we don't usually set targets if it's done within the same website. So that's going to be one page, and I'm also just going to add in one more link, and this will just be an about area. So if we wanted to create on our website an about page, and this is also why planning is so important when you are creating your website, because you want to make sure that you are planning ahead of all of the different content that you're going to need on your page. So now that we've taken care of the header, we've got the navigation. So next we have our main content area. And the main content area in some cases will include the side area. And in this case, we're just going to have one main content area. And we're going to add in 2 divs there that we can split up to make a 2-column website. So let's create a tag called main. And then within main, we're going to have our 2 columns. And these are, again, going to just be divs because we're not applying any styling. So we're going to have our main content, blah, blah, blah. And then we'll have second column or a side, whatever we want to have this as. And then this can work as the side area. So if we don't want to have them as divs, we can also call them article and a side. So again, this is depending on what your preference is. So I'll just name them so that we're semantically correct. But this also is a preference on how you're developing it. So because we do have the article and a side, and I did mention that's how we would typically contain the main content and then the main and often the a side, just for demonstration purposes. So that's going to give us our main area. And then last, but of course not least, is going to be the footer section. So again, this is where we would be placing any of the footer information, so copyright information and so on. I'm going to nest it within a div and place the copyright symbol for my website and also contact me here. So I'm not putting any type of way to contact right now, but just for demonstration purposes. So this is how we would develop a typical website. And then as we would create the second page, the About Me page, we would just update the content contained within main. And what we can do is we can comment here, so add content here. And we do something like that where we know that this is the port where we want to add in the content, and we can use the white space accordingly as well. So this way, this first page will really serve as a template, and then we're ready to create additional pages from that, and I'll show you how to do that in the upcoming lesson. So right now we've got a basic web page layout, and this is before you do create the templates. Just make sure that you have everything in place. Let's refresh the page and we'll see what it looks like. And we don't have any additional properties that are being added to the text, so this is just all plain text because we do that with styling, not within the HTML. So within the HTML, we are focused on the structure. So go ahead, set that up, and you can be ready to move on to the next lesson or the next challenge.